Okay. Thank you all for joining our session today. We're going to have here with me Aaron and Mahmoud, both of our software architects, and myself, Maya, as the lead designer that worked on the Drupal's layout builder module. So before we even kind of start with how we wanted to approach the design and development of the module, we kind of took a step back and looked at our approach that we do for between designers and developers at ImageX. We, of course, had a massive list of things that we knew that it doesn't work for designers, and even more so things that it was a pain point for our developers. So, they had to do code reworks, and later on in the QA process, we would catch stuff, or, sometimes, we just had bigger, more challenging problems when we went down the development route. And then we kind of tried to list all the things that we should do. So we knew that from the design side, we can pull more weight on doing things that are more fundamental, providing components and UI kits, making sure everything is kind of responsive, and just bring more consistency throughout our design process. At the end, when it gets to developers, we knew that the handover process wasn't as smooth. So we tried to kind of smooth that too. And in general, for developers, just building a modular components that are responsive out of the box. That was kind of the main thing that we wanted to tackle. So as soon as we finished up this and realized what didn't work for us and what worked for us, we knew that, of course, presenting to you guys, not always everything works exactly the way that it worked for us. But if we provide some principles for you, that's something that you can then take away and apply maybe one of 5 to your organization. So here I have 5 guiding principles for smooth design and development collaboration. So the first one first, 2 sides of the same coin. So we realized that, even though, it's we are designers, and then of course we work with developers, we knew that we kind of do the same thing. And I know as a designer, we love to talk about design systems, and developers talk about their modular codes and how easy is it to maintain. But we really knew that designers need to have basic knowledge of the code, and same as how developers understand typography in a layout. The second point really is to let's get involved real soon in the process. So if you have a design project, we need to start involving developers right away so that if we hit any problems, we can solve it together, and then it will be kind of more efficient. And I think the same as if you have a kind of only something that you want developers to focus, sometimes having a new perspective from design, that's something that can make the process a lot smoother. That's something that I brought up a little bit earlier, but it is pretty important to just spend time on handovers. As a designer, we hit the project, you have to bump through it, you have to finish it fast. And then when it comes to that handover, usually it's just this quick handover of like things to the developers. But we realize that it's a lot more than that. It's a checkbox of asking, do you have all the assets? Do you know exactly how the micro interaction works? Do you have, how can you do the inspect and everything's smooth? So that was a very important aspect for us that we wanted to tackle with this project. And not to pick any favorites, but this one is kind of my favorite. It's simple. It's about kind of being flexible throughout the process. Sometimes you might get fixated as a designer on certain approach that you think works, but just having that one-on-one conversation with the developer throughout the process, that's something that is very crucial to change things, problem solve, and kind of carry on with the next big thing that you gotta do together. And sometimes it also could be like a mini knowledge share in terms of, okay, I found this cool library, maybe you can use it in the project. Instead of just kind of explaining everything, you can make things visual and just send links to one another and kind of make it more collaborative in that sense. And lastly, just a general knowledge share, and that would be, having regular meetings between designers and developers. So at ImageX, what we do is that we huddle once a month, or sometimes if we have a lot of projects every other month, where we talk about just the struggles that we have. It might be a serious topic, and it might be as simple as, okay, guys, look, I found this really cool library, or I found this really cool design we can apply to our next project. So kind of taking you through all of this was some sort of foundation that can help with our organization when it comes to the collaboration. And then one thing that we started implementing, of course, the most fun part, it was the Bootstrap layout builder. And we kind of took the same approach. We talked about, okay, let's start, go to the beginning and let's brainstorm together. So Aaron, Mahmoud, and I, we kind of put down the roadmap, look at everything that we needed, and kind of went into the wires and trying to dissect every little atom of the design. We, of course, then took that and started kind of building these atoms using atomic design in our process. So we had the foundation like type, theme colors, icons, buttons, and so on and so forth. Of course, the list is quite long, but really breaking down all the little components before we build things like our plugins, which is more like our molecules or components that we built together. And of course, there's a lot that I can talk about, but I'm gonna hand it over to the two gurus of the code, Aaron and Mahmoud, to take you through more of the development process of Drupal's Bootstrap Layout Builder. Thank you.
Thanks, Maya. Hello, guys. My name is Mahmoud Zaid. I'm software architect at ImageX Media. Today, I'm going to talk about visualizing the layout builder. Since 2017, DrupalCon, Dries announced the layout builder module, which became later a Drupal core module. I have decided to bought some inputs by some contributed modules. I did research. I checked many of premium, also open source visualizing tools. Over the last 10 years, responsive web design has changed the way we think for the web, and there are many awesome tools help the people build landing pages without touching the technical stuff, without touching the code. So we have decided at ImageX last year to bring all this initiative to the community. We have developed 3 modules: Bootstrap Styles, Bootstrap Layout Builder blocks. To dive more about this approach, as Maya mentioned, there are 2 approaches on the design: atomic design, also the component-based design, which all based on don't repeat yourself concept. When we define the atom, reuse the same styles over and over again when we see this atom in the page again. So as you all know, Drupal based on render array approach. So all elements that render in the front end based on nested array, which contain all the structure of the page. If we can inject this structure, especially the attributes part, we should be able to add classes or any other attributes. If we are dealing with JavaScript, maybe data-x attribute. So we have created Bootstrap Styles, which is, we call it the Styles plugin inventory. A style plugin inventory, its responsibility is to do the mapping between the developer and site builders. The developer can define classes, can define any configuration from admin panel, and the site builder should see a visual tool. He can just go ahead and click whatever the option he needs and focus in the content and building the page without touching any complex technical stuff. So Bootstrap Styles, we have added this plugins to it, and also it's responsible for do the discovery for any module utilize this plugins. The concept, it's a bit ambiguity now, but it will become simpler in next slide. But the main objective of this slide, we need to know that Bootstrap Styles is the styles plugin inventory. Bootstrap Layout Builder is responsible for creating dynamic layouts and also reuse or utilize the Bootstrap Styles module in the section element render array. Layout Builder blocks do the same job, but responsible for managing the blocks inside the layout builder, and also reuse the same atoms, reuse the same plugins from Bootstrap Styles. And it's not only for these two modules. You can define your own module, or anyone can contribute a new module based on Bootstrap Styles and reuse these plugins over and over again. So let's dig more on Bootstrap Styles. The plugins group that I mentioned, it's a collection of sections. You can call it sections like background, typography, spacing, border, shadow, animation. It's not limited to these groups, but you can define your own group, or you can remove, override any of these groups. Each group, plugin group, contain one or more style plugin. When I speak about style plugin, means, for example, background color, background image, background video, maybe animation, padding, margin, and so on. How to define a new style plugin? Simply, you need to go to your module, or if you like to contribute back to the plugin inventory, which is Bootstrap Styles, module bus, src, plugin, Bootstrap styles, then you can define the plugin for style or the group itself, both using the same data structure, which is plugin. Why plugin? Plugin is so popular design pattern, and it's commonly used in Drupal. It's used in blocks, used in views, and everywhere on Drupal you will find Drupal count on this design pattern. And here is the idea. The idea is build open source tool. This open source tool doesn't add any learning curve to the CMS we are using. So all we need to know about this from a developer point of view, I need to define a plugin. I need to implement like 3 groups of function. The first group of function can define the admin panel configuration, like the classes, any configuration needed to be retrieved on the front end. The second group deal with the layout builder form, which is when you click configure section or add a new section, you see the form when you click update and add the label. This group inject this section and add the visualizing tools based on the defined configuration. Build, it's like any Drupal build function. It's responsible of retrieving the configuration that's saved from layout builder form to the component storage and converted to the render array. So if we save, for example, background color, we can retrieve the element itself and inject the render array attributes with the class or with inline style, whatever as a plugin define. Here is the example, background color. This plugin is extend style plugin base, builds the configuration form, the first group. As you can see on the screen, we have defined the classes. You can remove, edit, whatever as you want. Also, we have defined only one field here. You can define one or more fields in the same form for the configuration. So every component, every plugin is a standalone. You can configure what you need from admin panel point of view and what do you need on the section, the layout builder configure section module or off-canvas module, and also how we can convert this on the build function. So the second group, we retrieved the defined classes on the previous step, and we have attached here a library. This library attaches JavaScript and CSS simple files that convert these classes to these circles and add a simple animation so we can interact with the tool. And when we select, for example, background color, the green option, this green option, it's inject the render array of the page and add the defined classes. So it's change the section element as you can see on the screen. So this is the main responsibility of Bootstrap Styles. Let's see how we can apply or reuse these plugins on Bootstrap Layout Builder, or the community call it BLB. BLB, as I mentioned, it's a responsibility to define or to, we call it the grid system manager. You can define the breakpoints like desktop, tablet, any other breakpoint as you want. In each breakpoint, you can connect it with the layout. So for example, in mobile, you can have option to show 50-50 or 100%. So from edge to edge at the screen. In every breakpoint, you have the ability to configure its layout. So the default configure section or off-canvas, which come with Drupal core modules, come only with one field, which is the label. It's allow you to give a name to your section. We have converted this to 3 tabs. The first tab responsibility is to manage the grid. You can first choose the container type, whether it's from edge to edge or boxed or full with 15 pixel margin in both sides. Also, you can choose if you like to have a gutter between the columns or the regions. And you can choose which option you like to activate for each breakpoint. So in desktop, you have 2 regions side by side. In tablet, I would like to switch this to be 100%, so it will appear above each other. The second tab, here is the connection happen. It's utilize the Bootstrap styles. It's reuse the same plugins again with its configuration, everything the same. But we have option at this module, because this module utilize Bootstrap styles. You have a magic function which allow to use restrict plugins. So you can enable, disable the plugins itself. So for example, in spacing, if you disable margin and padding, the group itself will disappear. The third tab will show you settings. If you like to add advanced setting like hard code, or sorry, if you defined any class and like to add it direct here without create a specific plugin to implement it, you can go ahead and add your classes, add any attributes from this panel. But I don't recommend this approach, because the basic idea is visualizing. Make everything for the site builder, for the client, for the content editor, can easy drag and drop, select. You can see what we are doing when we build the page. Layout builder blocks, as I mentioned, it's responsibility, it's like collect the block configuration and put it on content tab. The second tab also, it's utilize Bootstrap styles, and as you can see on the right image, we have the same plugins group again. And of course, we have the option to restrict these plugins. not only for all blocks, but also for per block type or per block instance. So imagine we have a section. The section is an element. This element can contain one or more block. Inside each block is also elements. So you can choose all the styles of this hierarchy elements. Section library, after we implement all this stuff and we have a tool that allow us to change the style of all the component of the page, we need to reuse these styles over and over again, but as a template. So section library is a module allow you to create a template for section or multiple section. And when we say multiple section, it's mean you can also take a template for a page. These are very quickly our modules, but the next release, we are going to add the live preview, which mean when you change anything on the section, on the configure section, you will see it real time on the page without hit update and refresh the section by Ajax. You will see it on real time. The same also for responsive. We have added like a configuration that allow you to define the responsive devices for your section. So you can switch to mobile, to tablet, to any other device pre-configured from the admin panel. And also when you change any styles from here, you can see it on real time. And also it will allow you, for example, if you have a different backgrounds in both desktop and mobile, you can have background color in mobile. And for example, in desktop, you can have a background video or image to save the performance, to enhance the performance. So our roadmap, we are now on Bootstrap Styles 1.0.3, BLB 2.0.1, Layout Builder Blocks 1.0.1, Section Library Beta version. Our goal by June 2021, add and merge more plugins. So if you guys also have like any plugin and you feel it's reusable enough, you can go ahead and contribute it. And of course, we are going to include it if it's a general case. We are going to release the responsive, as I mentioned in the previous slide, along with live preview. Also add the ability to style the region or inject the plugins in regions itself and build more complex grid, which is grid inside grid. Also in layout builder blocks, right now you can style by plugins the wrapper of the block itself. We're going to add the ability to style field groups or the field itself inside the block. So you can choose which field you want to style, and it will load the plugins and inject this field render array. Section library, our goal to release a stable version. By December 2021, we are looking for, of course, merge more plugins, add the import export feature to section library module, so you can sync templates between different environments of the same project. Also, we are studying to make it global per agency. So if agency have multiple projects, maybe you can have your own hub or styles hub, so you can share all across many projects. Also, we are looking for creating the blocks ready-made. So for example, if you like to add hero banner, bing bong blocks, cards, etc., we should have like a module or sort of some modules that have this pre-made blocks that utilize also Bootstrap styles and implement the same approach. And again, feel free, guys, to contribute if you have any idea, if you have any module that compatible with our approach. We are here to help. And now it's the time to jump to a quick demo. So I will hand it over to Aaron. He will show you all the concepts that I described on his demo. Thank you, guys.
Hey guys, sorry about that. My power went out, impeccable timing. So I'm just getting my Docker up, and it should be here in a minute. So if we have any questions that we want to take for the next minute or so, that might help fill the awkward silence. I saw that there was one for me. Oh, I do have my environment set up. We'll start sharing.
Thanks, Aaron.
All right, so here is the demo that we usually show for other Drupal events. I'm excited because obviously this module has come quite a far ways in the year or so that we've started developing it. I think we introduced it at maybe DrupalCon Global last year. And so since then, we've brought on Maya, and she's overhauled the whole off-canvas styling, or sorry, the design. And then I've come in there and helped out with the front end. So yeah, I'm excited to show a little bit of the demo today. I know that we're running pretty tight on time, so try to do a little bit of a high level here. I just have a very basic BLT theme setup and a custom theme that has Bootstrap 4 on it. And so other than that, there's not a ton of modules that I have. It's a pretty basic site here. And then the only thing that I've done in my theme is I've set up our color palettes, which because Bootstrap Layout Builder is mainly class-based, you're just going to be inputting classes on the back end, like CSS classes, on the back end through some configuration forms, and then it'll appear in your guys' editor. So for example, if you've been using Layout Builder and you've had problems with the responsive portion of that, that's the whole reason why we developed this module. And I've basically just put in a bunch of text blocks for the most part, using some WYSIWYG text, and then dropped them into our columns here. So if you hit configure on your banner, this is our off-canvas menu that I was talking about, Maya, with the beautiful design that she provided us. So the first portion is the layout tab that handles all the responsive grid stuff for you guys. We're using Bootstrap framework, so we have a couple different layout options in here, like boxed, full, edge to edge, which just goes right left to right without the paddings or the gutters on the side. Also have the ability to remove gutters within the sections here. And then you have also the ability to update some of the grids. So one feature that we've added recently is the live preview. So basically, as we're toggling throughout the plugins and we're applying different types of styling, whether it's padding or background colors and things like that, that should update on your screen in front of you. That's a nice little user enhancement or user experience enhancement that we've added. And the other piece that Mahmoud was talking about was the responsive portion, which we're actively developing right now. I'm on a feature branch, so if there's any weird quirks that happen through this little demo, I'm gonna blame it on that. But for the most part, we have most of the features in, and now it's just a lot of like internal bug fixings before we move it up to the 1x or 2x branch, depending on which module we're working on. So I'm just going to click like the 50-50%. I know we have there's a little bug with the media module, so I'm just going to use a background color for now. But you can see as you start to apply different pieces of the plugin groups, it should automatically live update for you. There's no longer the need for clicking on the update button and then having your page reload. Obviously, that can be pretty cumbersome if you're like a content marketer and you know, you're just trying to test out a couple things and see how they look. This is a nice little feature here as well. The other portion was the responsive piece. So right now we've added in basically a little previewer, and this is hopefully going to help you guys as you're building your landing pages see what it looks like on different devices, and then obviously you can live update things as well in here. So going back into all devices, we'll just take you back out of like the little responsive previewer, and then you guys can start playing around again with some of the options in here. So I don't know why that went to red, even though we're got yellow, but again, we're working with a new feature here. So yeah, there's probably a couple little quirks that we need to work out still. Moving on to some of the other sections though, if I click configure as well on here, you can see that you can automatically adjust based on desktop, tablet, or mobile. These are all breakpoints that are set up in the back end as well. So if you're only trying to target mobile and desktop, you don't necessarily need tablet. Or if you need another breakpoint, you can add that in as well. And again, these are mainly class-based components. So for example, Bootstrap uses like call MD, LG, XL, things like that. So that's where you set up your base class, and then your columns will conform to that based on the breakpoint. So I'll just update this. You guys can kind of see what some of these little features do. So that's just, these are gutters. That's the spacing that happens between your columns. Sometimes when you're building like a banner, you don't want that extra 15 pixels as the default padding on the left and the right. You want it to span full width of your screen. So that's this is kind of the optimal configuration where you'd have edge to edge with no gutters, and then your background. Layout Builder does add a little bit of padding throughout its sections so that you're able to more easily see the section that you're editing. But this one, for example, is that full width banner here, which we took a look at previously, and this is that padding that we remove. And yeah, there's a couple other plugins that we've been adding. So Typography is one of them. That's just adding different color classes to your text. Sometimes as you start adding in like a darker background color for your theme, and then if your body text is black, you're going to need some way to change that into white. But rather than having all these custom classes that you would maybe add through like a class on another module or through your theme, we wanted to bring that more into the layout building experience where you could do all this stuff on the fly. So I think the last little piece that I wanted to touch on was, I'll just take you through some of the plugins. So we have spacing. You can add padding. So these are like your P classes. Margins are like those M-5 classes. So again, you can have as many margin classes as you want, or as little. You have the option to obviously just add paddings or margin on a specific side. And then we also have the border option, which allows things like rounded corners, which is nice. You see that all the time with like cards, rounded corners with like a drop shadow or something like that. So you can start to combine your plugins, and then as you build out some of your guys' components or your sections, you have the ability now to save those in a template library, which Mahmood touched on, which is our section library module. And that will just give you the ability to save it in its current state, and then pick up a brand new page and start to import some of those configurations. So I'll just give you a quick preview. I've done this ahead of time. I've basically, when we're some of our sections, we'll let's close this out for a sec. So there's the add to library button. This gives you the option to give it a name and then an image. So oftentimes we'll flip over to the front end, zoom out, take a screenshot of that particular section, upload it, and then in the back end, under content, you'll see a layout builder library tab. And these are all the sections. So these are all layout builder sections that we've saved. This one was like text on the left, and then we had like an image component on the right. That now saves into our library, which we can then import on a brand new page. So again, I've created all these different sections. Some are templates and some are specific sections. So sorry, a template is a collection of the sections, where a section is just that one particular column or row. So if I just hit import, you can see that it'll import the last save state of that particular section. And then this is disconnected now from that original one, so you can come in here and start to edit the text. But it gives you a great starting point, and it's kind of our approach at rapid prototyping. So we really want to get basically pages built fast and as efficient as possible. Again, these are going to continue to use all those configurations that you did previously before saving it. So adding those paddings and those margins, etc., so that you can reuse it on another page. So I think I'll probably leave it there. There is a couple extra modules that we have been starting to build out to create a little bit of a nicer UI and content editing experience. So one of those is like block library. Basically, it's just the next screen as I create a custom block gives us the ability to upload icons to our custom block library, which obviously is a little bit nicer than just seeing some text within the right-hand column there, especially if you have several block types. And then again, with we recommend using layout builder restrictions, which will give you the option to limit the block types per content type, and just gives you a little bit more of a streamlined flow as you're doing training sessions with your clients and doing demos. So yeah, I'll leave it there. Thanks a lot, guys, for joining us. And I see there's a question from Chris. Does this work with paragraphs? Yeah, you can use it with paragraphs for sure. We've been using custom blocks just for the performance reasons, but we have done multiple implementations of using paragraphs to create our layouts as well.
Amazing. Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for everyone kind of joining this session, we took the QA questions that you all ask, and we will just hop into our booth right now with 3 of us there for a Q&A with you all. So We have the list of the question. We'll get them answer in the booth. And yeah, thanks you all for joining.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.